video. Hello, Internet viewers. I'm the fairly OddGamer. I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey in a galaxy far, far away. You probably know what I'm talking about when I say that. I'm, of course, talking about the world-renowned phenomenon of all pop culture that is Star Wars. Created in 1977 by George Lucas, Star Wars has become a worldwide phenomenon for all ages. The series is mostly known for its trilogy of trilogies, such as the original trilogy with A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, the prequel trilogy with The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, and the sequel trilogy with The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. Since then, the franchise has expanded with 2 spin-off movies, as well as a few TV series such as Star Wars The Clone Wars and The Mandalorian, both of which are currently available on Disney+. Even though the first film release is technically the 4th film chronologically, it's still an amazing series regardless. Even though my first exposure to Star Wars was back in either 2005 or 2006, it took me a few years before I really got into the franchise. In fact, my actual first exposure to the franchise was when the cast of Star Wars appeared in an episode of Deal or No Deal on NBC. Although the first of the films I saw in the theater was The Force Awakens at an early screening, I did manage to watch the earlier films to get myself ready for this review. And with a franchise that's widely known, lots of video games were made, some of which are tie-in games to the movies they were based on. With that said, let's talk about a video game based on the best movie from the prequel trilogy, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, for the Xbox. Wait, what? Oh no. I know that sound from anywhere. Well, gotta prepare myself. I wish that I wasn't weak-minded. There we go. Now, he should be arriving any minute.
Hello there.
Yep, right on schedule. Hello, Seth. How are things?
You will remember that I'm also called Zero Knight.
I can remember that. But your Jedi mind tricks won't work on me.
Impressive. Most impressive. Anyway, I couldn't help but notice that you were talking about Star Wars.
Yeah?
And you forgot to invite me? There's something you should definitely know about me. I am a longtime fan of Star Wars, been a fan since 2007. I've been well aware of the movie since 2003, but that was during a time when I didn't care about most movies that were live action and had a lot of talking. During that time, I only sat down and watched Star Wars when there was an action scene going on, such as a space battle or lightsaber duel. But whenever the characters just stood there or sat down and started talking, I immediately got bored, got up from the sofa, and went back to playing Super Mario Bros. 3 on the family's Nintendo DS. It wasn't until I've played LEGO Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, in 2006 when I finally started to get invested. After playing that game for months, I eventually and finally took interest in the movies in early 2007. And when I actually started paying attention to the characters, writing, and story, I grew to appreciate it more and more. I even did the exact same thing with the prequel trilogy. Played the LEGO Star Wars video game based on the prequel trilogy, watched the actual prequel trilogy, and that's when I truly considered myself a Star Wars fan. And yes, I actually do enjoy the prequel trilogy. Well, for the most part anyway. This legendary saga is what really got me to appreciate story and writing for movies, and I'm still really glad that I gave it another chance. But regardless, my love of Star Wars will always come from the action, especially the lightsaber duels. When I was a kid, I always thought that the lightsaber was the coolest thing I've ever seen. A glowing sword that can cut through almost anything and deflect gunfire? That's super awesome! As for the Star Wars video games, I've already mentioned the LEGO Star Wars games, but I've also played a lot of Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original 2005 game, not the 2017 game, as well as Star Wars The Force Unleashed. But the one Star Wars game that interested me the most was the video game tie-in to Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Well, the home console version to be more specific. I did play a lot of the handheld versions of that game, but the first time I ever got to play the home console version was on my cousin's PlayStation 2 back in 2008. I never owned an Xbox or PlayStation 2 at the time, nor did my mother allow me to get one. I was still able to get the game itself for the PlayStation 2 about a decade ago, but it took me until around 2012, or at least I think it was 2012, when I finally managed to secretly buy a used PlayStation 2 from a local neighbor for around $40. Of course, my mother wasn't too happy when she saw me playing it, even though I was just playing a different version of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, a game I already owned for the GameCube, but I guess she either forgot about it or stopped caring. Well, regardless, I eventually started playing a lot of the Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith video game, and I absolutely loved it even more than back when I first played it. So yeah, I'm definitely tagging along for this galactic journey.
Alright, fair enough. Let's get started!
Good luck, and may the Force be with us.
The game was developed by LucasArts in collaboration with The Collective, and was released on May 4th, 2005, over a week before the movie was released. So unfortunately, those who bought the game before the movie's release were most likely spoiled. The game was released for the PlayStation 2, Xbox, Game Boy Advance, and Nintendo DS. But for this review, we'll be talking about the Xbox and PS2 versions.
Though we will briefly talk about the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS versions at a later time.
The game starts in the same way as the movie, scrolling text and all. Both Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi lead an attack on Separatist forces above the planet Coruscant in an attempt to rescue Chancellor Palpatine from General Grievous's command ship. After successfully and barely landing on the command ship, both Anakin and Obi-Wan leap out of their starfighters, igniting their lightsabers, and proceed to cut down any battle droids that stand in their way. And thus the first mission, Rescue over Coruscant, begins.
This is where the fun begins.
Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, the video game, is an action game that's basically part hack and slash and part fighting game. As Anakin Skywalker or Obi-Wan Kenobi, you need to proceed through each mission while defeating enemies along the way. Being a Jedi, you always have access to both a lightsaber and the Force. You can mix between light, heavy, and critical attacks to create various combos with your lightsaber. And you can use the Force to do various actions such as grabbing enemies or other objects and throwing them around, stunning enemies for a short time, or even by throwing your lightsaber. Though keep in mind that you don't have unlimited power. You have a blue meter on the bottom left corner of the screen that shows how much of the Force you can use. Your Force power will also regenerate over time, albeit at a slow pace. Also, try and be careful when throwing explosive barrels around, as it is possible to accidentally hurt yourself while throwing them. You can also use your lightsaber to block attacks, and trust me when I say that you're going to be doing that a lot in this game, because you won't get very far without it. While blocking, you can also tap the jump button while holding the analog stick in various directions to dodge enemy attacks. As you attack enemies, you'll see another meter surrounding your character's portrait building up. If you can keep a combo going for long enough time without taking damage and fill the meter all the way, your lightsaber's power will not only double, but also be completely unblockable for a short period of time.
While the combos do make you powerful, you're not granted invincibility. If your character dies, you're either set back to the beginning of the mission or previous checkpoint you reached. You can restore health by finding back tanks scattered throughout the missions, or by using Force Field by clicking and holding both analog sticks. In addition, each mission has hidden secrets you can find that gives you either a permanent increase in health or force, or an instant temporary lightsaber power-up. In fact, Anakin or Obi-Wan will even sense nearby secrets if you're close enough to one of them.
That being said, the first level does a pretty good job at teaching you how the game works without interrupting the action. Though it's also revealed that there are sections of the game where you have to use the Force to either move a large object out of the way, or force jump a large distance to another area. Overall, this level is pretty simple. Defeat battle droids, wait for R2 to activate certain panels at certain points, and activate various control panels yourself as well. At the end of each mission, you can gain experience from the various combos you've used to attack enemies during the mission. and you can use that set experience to upgrade Anakin or Obi-Wan's various Force powers or combat skills. That being said, I highly recommend upgrading their Force heal powers and grapple attacks as soon as possible. Trust me on that. You'll need them for the later missions.
On to the second mission, an explosive development. It's here where we first get to play as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Hello there.
His general gameplay is about the same as Anakin's, but he has his own unique combos and special attacks. Not to mention that he attacks much faster than Anakin. This mission also teaches you how to use a special blocking maneuver with your lightsaber by rotating the right analog stick while blocking. This maneuver lets you accurately deflect blaster fire right back at your opponent, and it's very useful for taking out the automated turrets. It's also the first mission where you perform the saber plunge, in which you stab the door with your lightsaber and move the left analog stick left and right repeatedly in order to bust the door open. This mission also requires you to throw your lightsaber at these power generators in order to proceed through the mission. But this mission has probably one of the most annoying enemies in this game, the grapple droids. Remember what Seth said about upgrading your grapple attacks? This is one of the reasons why. The grapple droids can not only block your attacks, but they can also grab you even while you're blocking. You can also grab enemies yourself, which also cannot be blocked, but you can only shove them aside at first. But if you upgrade your grapple attacks, you can also attack the enemy just after grabbing them. Also, this is the mission where Obi-Wan pulls an Indiana Jones.
Moving on to the next mission, Peril in the Elevators, where you once again play as Anakin Skywalker fighting against droids on top of some elevators, in addition to disabling a force field after getting trapped. It's also the first mission where you have to cut through a door or panel with your lightsaber by moving the analog stick in the direction you need your lightsaber to cut through. Eventually, Anakin and Obi-Wan manage to escape the elevators, leading to one of Obi-Wan's many one-liners.
Next time we're taking the stairs.
Anyway, on to the next mission, Settling the Score. Anakin and Obi-Wan finally manage to reach Chancellor Palpatine, but are then greeted by Count Dooku.
You won't get away this time, Dooku.
Just because there are two of you, do not assume you have the advantage.
Wait, I don't recall Dooku saying that last part in the movie. Okay, let's talk about this. Yes, the game does use footage from the movie to also serve as some of the game's cutscenes. However, this mission is the only one to have unused and alternate footage from the movie, albeit that footage only being a few seconds long. Anyway, now it's time to talk about what is easily the best part of this game, the lightsaber duels. These are the parts of the game that feel a lot like a fighting game. It's very satisfying when you block, dodge, and counter attacks to the best of your own ability, and I especially love getting into saber locks where you have to repeatedly mash both attack buttons simultaneously in order to overwhelm your opponent. The action is always fast-paced and never slows down, and I absolutely love this game's dueling system. What do you think of the lightsaber duels, gamer?
I think that lightsaber duels work really well in this game. It lets you experience a real lightsaber battle even though you're using a controller. But other than that, this game really wants me to have an actual lightsaber battle.
Come to think of it, why don't we have a lightsaber battle right now?
Simple. Because we live too far away from each other.
Oh, right.
But we can show off our stylish lightsaber moves.
Even better! Let's do this!
Let's rock, baby!
Anyway, let's talk about the game's voice acting. While the movie clips show the actors from the movies, the in-game cutscenes have the characters voiced by different people, except for General Grievous, still voiced by Matthew Wood. Anakin Skywalker is voiced by Matt Lucas, who previously voiced him in the 2002 video game Star Wars The Clone Wars and the 2003 animated micro-series Star Wars Clone Wars, not to be confused with the 2008 animated series Star Wars The Clone Wars.
Obi-Wan Kenobi is voiced by James Arnold Taylor, who you may know as... Yeah, that guy. You may also know him as the voice of Ratchet from the Ratchet & Clank series, so yeah. Like with Matt Lucas as Anakin, James Arnold Taylor previously voiced Obi-Wan in the 2003 animated micro-series Star Wars Clone Wars, but he's also still voicing Obi-Wan even today in the 2008 animated series Star Wars The Clone Wars, in addition to most of today's Star Wars video games. Overall, most of the voice actors do a good job at voicing their respective characters. However, the only voice that slightly bothers me personally is Matt Lucas as Anakin Skywalker. I don't hate his performance, but I swear he sounds even less emotional than Hayden Christensen's performance as Anakin in the movies. Anyway, going back to the lightsaber battles, these battles occasionally change environments as the battle progresses, and it helps keep the visuals varied. So after Anakin... Wait, what? That's not how it happened in the movie. What happened to Anakin disarming Dooku and only killing him after being encouraged by Palpatine?
Do it.
And now it's time we talk about the game's biggest problem, the way the story is presented. A lot of plot points from the movie are either cut from the game or exaggerated for some odd reason. In fact, Padme does not make a single appearance in this game and is only mentioned once during a battle. And like the gamer said earlier, this game was released over a week before the movie was released, so people who played this game without watching the movie will most likely be spoiled and not have proper context to what's actually going on. Now, if you already watched the movie and know all the context, this isn't really a huge deal, but regardless, the movie story isn't that well adapted for this game. Anyway, let's move on to the next mission.
It's not over yet.
You then need to try and escape General Grievous's command ship while fighting against droids that stand in your way, in addition to destroying various generators to disable force fields. However, this is also the first mission where you need to pilot a turret in order to destroy various targets, in this case, another Separatist battleship. These sections are fine. This first one is easily the worst one though, if only because of just how slow the turret's fire rate is, but overall it's not too bad. But eventually, the mission ends due to this happening.
Rations. Wait a minute. How did this happen? We're smarter than this.
Apparently not.
Which leads us into the next mission, the General's Right Hand. Anakin, Obi-Wan, R2, and Palpatine are captured by General Grievous, but they eventually and quickly break free thanks to R2 causing a distraction, and thus Grievous sends his Magna Guards to attack the two Jedi. This mission is just a simple fight against some Magna Guards, battle droids, and grapple droids as General Grievous constantly watches and paces in the background. Anakin and Obi-Wan quickly deal with the droids, but Grievous manages to escape yet again.
On to the next mission, investigating Utapau. So now as Obi-Wan,
Hello there.
you now have to travel to Utapau searching for General Grievous while at the same time fighting against any droids that come your way, in addition to shutting down some heat vents to progress. Unfortunately, you also have to fight those grapple droids that I like so much. Oh joy! You can't even imagine how much I struggle fighting these droids, let alone dying from them. Now remember what I said about those checkpoints earlier? Sometimes the first checkpoint in each mission is much farther than you would expect, which means if you're very close to the checkpoint but die before then, you have to start the mission all over again. Almost every time I fight against the grapple droids, I often try to have Obi-Wan perform the Joestar's secret technique and get to a safe location where I can either force heal to a certain amount or pick up a backup tank if I can find one. There's also a section where you have to avoid a turret by, once again, using the Joestar's secret technique. You also have to man another turret in order to destroy these two generators to deactivate this force field while at the same time blasting the droids. At the end of the mission, you then have to fight against a crab droid. You shouldn't have much trouble with this as long as you know what you're doing. There are two ways to defeat the crab droid. One, by using the force to throw explosives at it. Two, and most commonly used, press the grapple combo to jump onto the crab droid and slash it on the head with your lightsaber. Moving on to the next mission, the cavalry arrives. So Obi-Wan eventually manages to find General Grievous, which leads to probably our favorite thing Obi-Wan has ever said.
Hello there.
General Kenobi, you are a bold one.
You then have to fight against more droids. But after the first battle against them, you then receive help from the clone army for the rest of the mission. After defeating more droids, you have to disable the cannons that are firing at the Republic attack gunships. Once that's done, one of the clone troopers tells Obi-Wan that he'll need to disable the ray shields that are blocking the Republic's reinforcements.
Good luck, sir.
Luck. In my experience, there's no such thing.
After disabling the ray shield controls from the control sphere, Obi-Wan then has to fight another crab droid. Once the crab droid is destroyed, Commander Cody informs Obi-Wan that they found General Grievous, which leads us into the next mission, Showdown with Grievous. As the name implies, Obi-Wan
Hello there.
now has to fight against General Grievous. The battle against Grievous is one of the most annoying boss battles in the entire game. So annoying that it made me change the difficulty setting from normal to easy. But once you get his pattern down, the rest of the battle is not that difficult.
What makes the battle against Grievous so annoying is that he constantly spams his lightsaber combos over and over until you block or get away from him. Though if you're fast enough, you can use his own strategy against him by staying away from him until the last attack in his combo finishes so you can instantly counterattack.
And with one final strike, General Grievous is finally destroyed.
Okay, so before we talk about this next mission, we need to mention a very important plot point that isn't mentioned in this game for some reason. Like I said before, Padme doesn't appear in this game, and we also don't see Palpatine manipulating Anakin into thinking that only the dark side can protect Padme, which also plays an important part in the story. We also don't see Palpatine revealing himself to be the Sith Lord Darth Sidious, nor do we see Anakin reporting that to Mace Windu. Instead, the story immediately jumps to Mace Windu almost defeating Darth Sidious, with Anakin then deciding to intervene, thus beginning the next mission, the Dark Side of the Force. And unlike the movie, this is a full lightsaber battle rather than 2 attacks deciding Mace Windu's fate. So yeah, it's another lightsaber duel and...
What is happening to Mace Windu? He's running in place for some reason.
I guess he too is trying to use the Joestar secret technique. Another major difference is that unlike the film, Anakin ends up being the one killing Mace Windu rather than Palpatine. I'm not really sure which version is better, so I'll let you decide which is better.
What have I done?
You're fulfilling your destiny, Anakin.
And thus, Anakin fully pledges his allegiance to Palpatine, who then officially dubs him Darth Vader. Palpatine then sends Vader on a mission to attack the Jedi Temple and destroy all of the Jedi, and thus beginning the next mission, the hunt begins. And if I'm being honest, this is probably my favorite normal mission in the entire game. I really enjoy battling all of these Jedi, getting into countless lightsaber battles, regardless of how short they are. Oh, and you also destroy various parts of the Jedi Temple, in addition to manning a turret to shoot down Jedi starfighters. It's also worth mentioning that since Anakin Skywalker is now Darth Vader, his Force Stun is now replaced with Force Lightning, which does continuous damage to his enemies. On to the next mission, the final lesson. Darth Vader has 2 more Jedi left to eliminate, Sera Keto and Sin Dralig. Once you defeat Sera, you then have to defeat Sin. However, be warned, if you lose to the fight against Sin, you'll then have to refight Sera in order to get back to where you left off, so try to be careful. And thus, after a long duel, all of the Jedi in the temple are destroyed.
This will be a day long remembered. Soon the Jedi will be no more.
Moving on to the next mission, Attack of the Clones. Coincidentally named after the second movie in the prequel trilogy. Palpatine issues a very special order to the clone troopers.
The time has come. Execute Order 66.
Order 66 is issued to all the clone troopers, which caused them to identify the Jedi as traitors to the Republic.
Well, all of them except for Captain Rex, Commander Wolf, and Clone Commando Gregor, but that's a story for another time.
Anyway, it's here where Obi-Wan,
Hello there.
has to fight against the clone troopers now under the influence of Order 66. Though he can also use the Force Stun to have clone troopers fight on his side by means of the Jedi Mind Trick. It's also the first mission to have AT-RTs controlled by clone troopers, as well as the clone Blaze Troopers that let out flames. While they behave similar to the grapple droids, the Blaze Troopers do not block attacks. But this is also the mission where you have Obi-Wan fight against another annoying boss battle, the Republic attack gunship.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Like the crab droid, you can use the Force to throw explosives at it. However, if you run out of explosives, your only option is to throw your lightsaber at the ship while trying to avoid missiles as well as laser blasts. By the way, I should mention that you have to hold the saber throw button in order to throw it farther. Once it's destroyed, the mission's done, right? Nope, you have to continue your escape from Order 66 and fight more clone troopers on top of a clone turbo tank. It's here where Obi-Wan has to destroy the turret in order to escape Order 66.
Also, this last turret you have to destroy is total BS. I'm clearly in range of slicing it with my lightsaber, but apparently it doesn't count as doing damage. You have to throw your lightsaber at it in order to damage it, which I personally don't get at all.
After destroying the turret on the clone turbo tank, Obi-Wan finally escapes as he takes General Grievous' starfighter to leave the planet.
Moving on to the next mission, Assassination on Mustafar. Darth Sidious sends Darth Vader to Mustafar where the remaining Separatist leaders are hiding.
Lord Vader, our masters have been anxiously awaiting your arrival.
And where are they now?
In the central control room, sir.
I have a message from Darth Sidious.
Message? What message?
This!
Darth Sidious has betrayed us.
And thus, Darth Vader has one final mission for his master. Destroy all of the Separatist leaders on Mustafar. Besides fighting more droids, you also have to fight against the Nemodians, which are easily the most annoying enemies in the game. Mainly because they can stun you if they manage to land an attack on you. The Nemodian brutes are also a pain, because not only can they grab you and block attacks, but they also cannot be grabbed unless you use a certain critical attack. My advice for dealing with these guys would be to use the same strategy for when you fight General Grievous. Keep your distance, wait for their attack, and quickly counterattack.
Sheesh, what can I say about the Nemodian brutes? If you thought the grapple droids were annoying enough, then wait until you fight these guys. While they behave in the same way as the grapple droids, they can also inflict lots of damage on you if you're not careful enough.
But those guys are nothing compared to the boss you fight at the end of the mission. Unlike in the movie, Newt Gunray attempts to escape in an Amodian shuttle while also attacking Vader, and this boss is easily the worst boss in the entire game. If you thought the Republic attack gunship was bad, then this boss is even worse. Like the gunship, you can throw explosive barrels at the shuttle in addition to throwing your lightsaber at it, though unlike the gunship, you can use Vader's force lightning in order to bring it down. Sounds easy, right? Here's the problem. The shuttle is always attacking, either with a laser or 3 explosive blasts, and those explosive blasts are capable of taking away at least a third, sometimes half, of your entire health. So it's very easy to die to this boss. In fact, the shuttle will even attack while you're using force lightning on it, so you have to be careful and know when would be the right time to avoid its attacks.
Yeah, I'm with you there. The Amodian shuttle is definitely the most annoying boss battle in the entire game. While you do fight it with a similar method as the gunship, you need to have godlike reflexes in order to defeat this boss. There are times where I jumped trying to avoid the laser. Sometimes it works, but other times it doesn't. Even the explosive blasts are a pain to avoid. You can try all methods of dodging, but you have to perfectly time your dodges with this one, otherwise you'll end up getting blasted by the shuttle.
But eventually, with enough skill, reflexes, and good timing, the shuttle goes down, the Separatists are finally wiped out, and Darth Sidious congratulates his new Sith apprentice for completing the mission.
On to the next mission, Aftermath in the Temple. While on board Senator Organa's spaceship, we see Obi-Wan,
hello there,
reunited with Yoda as they make their way to the beacon. Once they arrive, they encounter more clone troopers which both Yoda and Obi-Wan must defeat. After Obi-Wan aids Yoda with moving debris with the Force, they make their way to the beacon as they discover the damage done to the Jedi Temple, completely unaware of who damaged it. After disabling the library security protocol, Obi-Wan has to destroy 2 gunships, only this time using the turrets. However, anytime you get hit by the gunships, it will also affect your health. So be sure to find that health surge before you step foot in the turret. But we're not done yet because Obi-Wan then has to defeat a new enemy in the game, clone assassins. They're very fast and easily capable of dodging and counterattacks. After defeating the assassins, Obi-Wan wants to know the truth about the Jedi Temple.
If into the security recordings you go, only pain will you find.
It is then revealed to Obi-Wan that Anakin is now Darth Vader, the new Sith apprentice of Darth Sidious, and Yoda tells Obi-Wan that they must destroy the Sith. It leads to the final mission of the game, A Friendship in Flames, in which Obi-Wan,
hello there,
now has to confront Darth Vader on Mustafar.
I will do what I must.
You will try, my old friend.
And thus the final battle begins. Out of all the boss battles in this game, Darth Vader easily has the most health, so expect this to be a long fight. In fact, I'm pretty sure Vader has the maximum amount of health and force energy possible to get in the game for both characters. But I could be wrong. And just like every other lightsaber battle in the story, the environment will change as the battle progresses. So after a long and enduring battle, it eventually comes to a close.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
You underestimate the power of the dark side.
Don't try it!
Wait, what? That doesn't happen in the movie.
So, Darth Vader actually manages to kill Obi-Wan and report back to his master. Darth Sidious then gives his apprentice his new lightsaber, only for Darth Vader to betray him and kill him with that lightsaber.
No, the galaxy belongs to me.
Nah, I'm just kidding. Here's what really happens.
Obi-Wan manages to defeat Darth Vader and then leaves as he takes Anakin's lightsaber. Darth Vader is eventually repaired and put into a mechanical suit that allows him to survive.
Lord Vader, can you hear me?
Yes, Master.
Unfortunately, or fortunately depending on your point of view, the game doesn't show this famous/infamous scene.
And then we see Obi-Wan delivering Anakin and Padme's surviving son, Luke Skywalker, to Owen and Beru Lars, implying that there is a new hope for the galaxy.
And that concludes the main story. Now, on to the bonus missions!
As you progress through the main story, you eventually unlock bonus missions depending on how far you progress. And now we're going to go over all 5 of them, starting with the first mission, the General's Protectors. For this mission, you play as a Magna Guard fighting against waves of clone troopers. And this is the one bonus mission that I dislike the most because of one thing: controlling the bodyguard. Why does it have to move so slow? Not only that, but it also has limited attacks as well as poor defense.
Yeah, I have to agree. Easily the worst bonus mission in the game.
But on the bright side, the next bonus mission, Grievous on the Run, is a lot more fun. You basically play through General Grievous' escape on Utapau, except you play as Grievous instead of Obi-Wan. Like the previous bonus mission, you have to fight against some waves of clone troopers, and for some reason you fight against other droids as well.
I mean, it kinda makes sense, since Grievous really hates battle droids, but yeah, it is kinda weird.
After defeating said clones and droids, you then have to fight against Obi-Wan. However, your health does not refill once he shows up, so you have to fight him with whatever health you have left from fighting against the clones and droids. Although, you do get one small factor tank to pick up when you start fighting Obi-Wan.
On to the third bonus mission, Mustafar Lava Challenge. This is the only sort of platforming challenge in the game. It's not really that difficult, but man is it awkward. It's especially annoyed when the enemies knock you back into the lava, almost as if you were a member of the Belmont clan.
With that out of the way, let's move on to the next mission, Size Matters Not. As the title implies, you play as Yoda. As a matter of fact, it's the only time in the game where you play as Yoda. Like the first two bonus missions, you have Yoda fighting against waves of clone troopers, and that's about it from what I can tell.
And now, let's talk about the last bonus mission in the game, Episode 4 of Death Star. As the name implies, it takes place during Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, in which Darth Vader once again battles Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet again at last.
This is easily my favorite bonus mission in the game. You basically fight against Obi-Wan, in which he's under his Ben Kenobi disguise, and you play as Darth Vader, now with the suit and the red lightsaber. Darth Vader with the suit is easily the most powerful character in the game, but his attacks are also slower and has less moves than when he didn't have the suit. But despite that, he's still a lot of fun to play as.
Can I just say right now that I love this mission to death? Playing as a Darth Vader we all know and love is always a joy to any Star Wars fan. I also get a kick out of seeing scenes from A New Hope, even though the movie has already been released on video and DVD years before this game came out. But other than that, it's always fun getting to fight as the main villain in this game.
And now it's time we finally talk about the best part of the game, the multiplayer.
Did somebody say multiplayer?
Hux? I didn't know you were a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, the Force is strong in me, dude.
Nice robes, by the way. Where'd you get them?
Internet?
Fair enough. Care to join?
Sure thing, dude.
For starters, there are 4 missions that can be played with local co-op, though you don't necessarily need a second player because the second player can also be controlled by the computer.
The first 2 co-op missions, Cruiser Cargo Hold and Cruiser Corridors, are very simple. Player 1 plays as Anakin while Player 2 plays as Obi-Wan. All you really do in these 2 missions is fight against droids and automatically proceed through the mission every time you defeat enough droids.
However, the next co-op mission, Control Sphere Survival, has Player 1 playing as Obi-Wan,
Hello there.
and Player 2 playing as Anakin. Unlike the previous co-op missions, both Obi-Wan and Anakin are in the same room for the entire mission battling droids and these turrets that pop up at the end of the mission. The final co-op mission, The Jedi Strike Back, is different from the other co-op missions because it's the only mission where you play as either Sarah Kato or Sin Dralik, depending on what player you are. But like the first 2 missions with Anakin and Obi-Wan, you fight against waves of enemies as you proceed through the mission. By the way, did we mention that Sarah Kato is voiced by Kari Walgren in this game?
You know, I actually met her at a con once.
Oh, really?
Yep, I even got a photo with her while I was there.
That's nice.
Anyway, let's talk about the Versus mode. This mode has a total of 9 playable characters: Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Count Dooku, General Grievous, Mace Windu, Sarah Kato, Sin Dralik, Darth Vader, and Ben Kenobi. It's a decent roster, but 2 characters I really wish were playable are Yoda and Darth Sidious, especially since they fought against each other in the movie. But anyway, you can choose to fight in 14 different arenas for the main story mode, and with this mode, not only can you fight against a friend to see who is the ultimate Jedi or Sith, but you can also freely create your own lightsaber battle previously not thought possible, such as Mace Windu fighting against Count Dooku, or Anakin Skywalker fighting against General Grievous.
Or even the ultimate time paradox with Darth Vader against Anakin. Just be careful because if you play as Darth Vader and you win the fight against Anakin, then Darth Vader will be dead.
It's over, gamer. I have the high ground.
Oh yeah? Well, clearly you underestimate my skills.
Don't try it, gamer.
May you finally rest in peace.
Well, I try to warn you, dude.
Huh. Maybe I should practice some more?
Practice makes perfect, dude.
More like practice makes better, because technically nothing is perfect.
Good point. Anyway, that was fun. Later, dudes!
So what do you think of this game's graphics?
Graphically, it's alright for Xbox and PS2 standards. Both the characters in the levels do look very similar to the movie, which alone makes it really good. The characters do like the actors in the movie, which I believe they were trying to go for. When comparing them to the cutscenes from the movie, they look pretty good in my opinion. That also goes with the level design. Each location looks like they were ripped straight out of the movie and transcribed into the game pretty well. That being said, what are your thoughts on the game's graphics, Seth? Oh, I mean, Zero Night?
I think the graphics are pretty good. Well, for the most part anyway. The environments look great, as well as the special effects. However, the character models just look okay. I do like how their faces look very much like their respective actors from the movies, but the facial expressions themselves aren't too great. Musically speaking, the game mostly uses music from previous Star Wars movies, but hey, it works. I especially love how they use Duel of the Fates for the final battle. As for the game's overall length, it shouldn't take you too long to finish. It's about as long as your standard Devil May Cry game, which is about 4 to 5 hours long, depending on your skill. So now that we've reached the end of our journey, how did you enjoy this game?
Well, for a Star Wars tie-in game, I actually enjoyed it.
While it doesn't follow the plot of the movie pretty well, I don't think it affects the game as a whole. Graphically, it's pretty good, and I like the look of the characters as well as the settings. Gameplay-wise, it's pretty amazing. For a majority of the time, the controls respond the way it should, and I love the lightsaber battles. Well, some of them anyway. While there are some enemies that I don't like, primarily the grapple droids and Neimoidian brutes, I think it works pretty well for an action game. But if you were to ask me which gameplay I like more between Anakin and Obi-Wan, I would probably go with Anakin. He's more fun to play as, especially when he becomes Darth Vader, mainly because of the Force lightning. I feel that Obi-Wan is a bit difficult to play at first, especially because you don't get to play as him as much as Anakin. But then again, that's just me. I also get a kick out of hearing music straight from the movie, because come on, who doesn't love John Williams' music? Overall, I think the video game tie-in of Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith is a game I would definitely recommend to any Star Wars fan, especially for those who have already seen the movie beforehand. Give it a try when you get a chance.
This is, believe it or not, my favorite Star Wars video game of all time. It may not technically be the best, but it's still my personal favorite. I remember playing this game for the first time on my cousin's PlayStation 2 and being mind-blown how I was able to play as a Jedi and wield a lightsaber exactly like the characters do in the movies, spinning and slashing my lightsaber at any opponents that stand in my way. And this game has my favorite lightsaber combat system among every Star Wars video game so far, and sure, 2 of the boss fights may not be very well designed, and the game may not follow the plot of the movie very well, but I don't think those issues are enough to bring the game down. I love the action, I love the lightsaber battles, I love the playable roster of characters, the multiplayer is fantastic, and this is one Star Wars game I highly recommend trying out. There is also another version for the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS, and those versions are also fun in their own right. They're basically side-scrolling beat-em-ups that also follow the plot of the movie, though they actually do a much better job at following the plot of the movie since it actually does include important scenes, such as Palpatine manipulating Anakin, and Padme actually does appear in this version as well. Anakin and Obi-Wan also have their own campaigns rather than sharing one large campaign like in the home console versions. The DS version even includes exclusive levels where you fly starfighters. However, as fun as these versions are, I still greatly prefer the home console versions purely because they have way more content. Anakin and Obi-Wan are the only playable characters in the handheld versions, while the home console versions also let you play as Mace Windu, Count Dooku, etc, etc. Plus, I just find the combat to be way more satisfying in the home console versions, so yeah, definitely give this game a shot whenever you can, and I hope you enjoy it like I have. Over 15 years later, the Force is still truly strong with this one. I give this game an 8 out of 10.
So for a game that's based on probably the best movie in the prequel trilogy, it still has an amazing tie-in game to go with it. And thanks Seth, Zero Night for helping out.
You're welcome. Now if you excuse me, I have to get back to playing the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Haven't played that game yet, but anyway. I'm the Fairly Odd Gamer, and I wish you all good luck for the rest of your day or night, wherever you are. Take care, everyone.